Testing 1, 2, 3.
Is it morning for you over there?
It is. Well, it's 11:30, but it's kind of poker scheduled morning, you know.
Right. What is the schedule out of interest? You playing a bunch of tournaments these days, or just here and there picking your spots, more of that kind of thing?
Yeah, Powerfest is on right now on Party Poker, so I'm playing some of that. And like peak schedule starts like 3 or 4 in the afternoon here in the UK. So that's when I try and get started. I guess it's more like 6 or 7. I definitely miss North America's way of doing things, you know, like where you can get up at 8 a.m. and just be a normal human. It's the best. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
man.
You're a cash game player, so you probably know how that goes.
Dude, I tried playing tourneys recently. I've woke up at fucking 1 a.m. to play the Sunday Million. It's like, it's not that good. Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's close always. It's almost close where you can wake up at like in a natural hour, and then start playing. But I guess your time is pretty different from like New Zealand, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, New Zealand's 5 hours ahead of me. They get up at like 5 or 6, which is like, it's alright.
It's doable, yeah.
You can wake up at 6:30, like late reg a bit. It's okay.
Yeah.
But, dude, I'm on the buzz of tourneys. I got kind of addicted. I had 2, like, they're pretty deep fields, like 7,000, 8,000 people. I finished like a 90th and a 40th. I was like, it was real disappointing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Sunday Million, but it was okay. There was some money up top. So that's the way it goes, I guess.
That's the dream, yeah.
That's how they hook you, you know? Some fish stacks you. You're like, fuck, he was a fish. How did he stack me? But yeah, no, it's kind of a good game. And like the one thing that's sick, like in terms of difference between cash and tourneys, is like no one's ever going to solve every spot. The downside is the software assistance for usability in-game is a lot better. But that may change over time. Like, so one issue that sort of plagues cash games at the moment, not literally at the moment, but will happen in the future, I'm assuming. People build databases of solved spots.
Right, yeah.
And they can access them. If you're smart, you could even use voice commands for that, something like that. That would make cash games pretty hard to beat. That'll probably only affect the highest stakes because it's not really practical to be on 8 tables and be like, yep, this spot, you know. It would be for the man who's playing like 2 to 3 tables of like not Zoom. It would be pretty overpowered though. Like they'd be impossible to beat basically.
It's going to be really interesting to see how poker evolves and how we're able to innovate to prevent people using tools to making it so that they're so good.
There's no way, man. Unfortunately, because they could have a second connection, they could have a second computer. Like I can't think of a way around it, but I guess that's just I can't think of it. But to me, it seems like
one thing is you can measure how good people are. And if they're too good, you need to look into them.
The problem is, like, this kind of thing, like I was saying, kind of only applies to the highest stakes. Like, obviously, people that play the highest stakes are already pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were some people assuming, like, Linus was a cheater, they thought, because he changed, like, his timings and whatnot, but then the guy retracted his, what's it called? His opinion on that. So, I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, there's going to be too much speculation. When it comes to high stakes players, and there'll be no proof.
It's tough. I know that. Well, I've worked with 2 of the biggest sites now, and I know for both of them, like there is tools that know, so they know where to look. It's not going to be perfect. You're right, and I think what's interesting is like for most of our mobile games, we have a face to unlock type deal. I do like Rob Young's idea of pairing it to human beings and like real people as opposed to screen names, because I think that would actually help. Knowing who you play against, I do think is the future of higher stakes cash games. Like you'll have to know.
It's a bit rough if there's that one guy who just like gets a gun and like comes over to your house though. He's like, dude, you beat me in that poll with deuce fucking 4. Like some dude just limp raised me today with deuce 4, flopped the straight on me. Maybe I get the gun out and head over to his house.
I mean,
you kind of like the anonymity is sort of nice too, but I get what you're saying. It's for the good, it's for a good reason.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think it should disappear at the smaller stakes, but it's just at some point, the sites, whether it's Party Poker or other sites, are just going to be like, well, we don't really make any money on this really small pool, and we spend a lot on security. So it's just like,
I always imagined
we've already
that
seen some sites
cash
not care
games.
about it.
Sorry, bro.
You know.
You go.
No, yeah, we've just already seen some sites like just not care about high stakes at all. Like just like, well, we don't make enough money, so we're just not going to spread it, and they can play somewhere else. And I mean, that would probably be a more profitable option for like Stars and Party, but they don't in the spirit of poker at the moment. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a good segue though. To a question I had for you, because you were talking about you used to work, where you work for two of the biggest sites, and I think I wasn't playing at this point where you were a Stars Pro. But do you mind just telling me a bit like what happened there? Like you were sponsored by Stars. When did that start? Were you like a Supernova Elite grinder, or at what point was the Stars thing?
Yeah, so I was with them for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
And I was the first Twitch guy kind of. So I started my Twitch stream in like September of 2014, I think. And then they hit me up in like February and asked if I wanted to join their team. I wasn't Supernova. I was like just playing tournaments 55 to 22, and then I'd like sell to the million basically. Actually, I threw some big 109s in there. And so yeah, that kind of launched it. And this was still when you needed to be Supernova to be Team Online. So my first year, they were like, you can be a friend, but you need to make Supernova, and then you can join the team. I'm like, okay, whatever.
I guess it's hard to make Supernova with just tournament rake, maybe.
Yeah, it was super hard. I mean, it was like I grinded my face off. And then they removed the program the next year, and I was like, oh, great. Well, thanks, guys. That was awesome. Like I just downswung huge and grinded my face off, and then you decided to like pull a fast one in the whole poker world. That was great. So yeah, I was with them for 4 years, and then I had the opportunity to join Party just this past year. I started in May, so it's been about a year now. It was the first time like I had the opportunity to collaborate with another site, and I just think Party Poker is going the right direction. So I try to be pragmatic in these situations, which is like Stars was my best opportunity to make a big impact in the poker world and make a positive difference, even though they did a lot of things that were not for poker and just for money. But it's still the best spot I could be. When Party Poker came around, it was different. This was like a better opportunity to actually impact what we do in a positive way. So I went with that.
Yeah, I don't know how much, like, because Rob doesn't own Party, but the dude's clearly pretty involved with everything that's going on there. He's got a good buzz about him. Like, I like his style. And I've heard a little bit, like, there was some rumblings about, like, looking for some ideas for some stuff, and I knew somebody who was involved with that. And I realized pretty quickly, it's like, this guy just wants to get shit done, and he's willing to try stuff, which is good. If it doesn't work, it's like, whatever, sorry about it. But, like, he's trying to make improvements for the game. So I totally respect that. And they obviously consider what it's like for all kinds of players, like Fish, Reg, whatever.
Yeah.
I will say this, though.
He's one of those special guys. He is.
Sorry, you go.
No, he's just one of those special guys that, like, he just gets things done. He's just a great business guy in that he's connecting people, he's making deals that benefit both parties, and he's trying to do the right thing all the time. So I agree with what you're saying. Like, he's a special dude.
Have you ever played live with the dude? I reckon that'd be fun.
No. I think it would be too. I don't think I've ever played high enough to play with him.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, the biggest live game I've played is like 25-50. He plays pretty big, so I don't know. One day, maybe. One day.
Yeah. Man, what do you do, like, live-wise? You play many tourneys? Or is it not your cup of tea?
I used to play a lot of live. Like, I was reading a bit about your bio before I got on here, and I saw that you played a bit as well. I love live poker. It's so fun. Like, I think my heyday was actually playing small stakes live poker before I started streaming. I was just living at home, like just getting by. I didn't have any bills. So it felt like I'd go to the casino and just hang out with my friends every day and play 1-2, just like I knew everyone there. We'd have lunch together, we'd drink soda and coffee and just like play poker for 10 hours and then call it a day, and I'd have more money at the end of the day. It was awesome. I don't really play anymore right now because I think the Twitch window that we're in is not going to be there forever, and live poker will. So I just feel like a pressure to seize the opportunity of like having some attention on what I'm doing and make the most of it right now. And then I can play live poker when I'm 35 and just hang out. But it's just not the time.
That is basically the idea of the late game. Because a lot of people were talking about like, oh, online poker's future, that kind of thing. And I was like, it's going to be fine. Like, people want to gamble. But then I was thinking more and more about like what's happening with like people collecting databases of sims. I'm like, this is a little bit bad. But then maybe that only kills high stakes. But that's a trickle-down effect. Then like 1k NL becomes high stakes, then 500 NL, then maybe even 200 NL. Although inflation's probably going to turn that around pretty soon.
Yes.
A lot of countries are going to, inflate the fuck out of their currencies, I imagine, in the next few years. But
yeah, at the moment, yeah, they will for sure.
I think tourneys are going to stick around either way, because it's just tourneys are too good. There's way too many different spots. Like, you can't have them all solved because it's like it's relevant. Like, it's not only like who's got the stacks behind you, but who's got the stack in the blinds. How deep are you? Like, maybe the antes differ. Like, obviously knockout tournaments become like super complicated for like any solving software. I don't even know, does ICMizer like is there stuff you can enter for like knockout information on top of ICM?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's the best tool out of interest, ICMizer? I've heard it was good, but I haven't really done anything tournament wise.
Yeah, I've used it some over my career. Hold'em Resource Calculator does a lot of what it does for cheaper, but then ICMizer goes like another level with the knockout stuff. So yeah, no, it's kind of the go-to.
I got no clue in those fucking knockout tourneys, man. I played a couple. I was just like, do I call $25? Do I want to call this guy? He shoves them. I got like sevens. It's like, I don't fucking know. Fold, and then you call. They got eights. You're like, fuck. Don't know, man. It's just tough. Or like you really shove hard. And like you want do I want to have like ace 5 for value now more and like fold jack 10? Like, I don't know what I was doing, because that people are going to call you depending on the depth of your stack wider for the bounty, depending on how much it is. I don't know, it adds a good layer of complication to the game that I think like will prevent it from being solved for longer, which is nothing but good.
Yeah, changes like your ranges around to be like more high card heavy when you're shoving as the shorter stack, I think. But then you're just shoving wider for value in all spots. Yeah. You're 3-betting wider for value in all spots. You're 3-bet bluffing wider as well. Like, everything is just, you just ramp up everything basically. But it's really hard to do. Like, people know that, but they don't. It's just because it's such a difficult transition from that to normal tournaments. They know that they should be 3-betting like 9-6 suited in middle position sometimes as their bluff, but they just don't. And I don't either, because I'm a fish, man. It's just like, it's just hard to pull that trigger.
I don't know, man. I'd fold the 9-6 suited too. It sounds like a good fold.
I think that's a bit much. But like something like 9-7 suited, it becomes probably your 3-bet bluff. Whereas it's just like a fold in a freeze out, right. Because you're 3-bet valuing so many more hands, like so many more pairs and ace X, in like, let's say a 30 big blind stack situation. You're just, So,
it's tough, man. Tourneys are hard, and the worst part is it always comes down to just like one fucking pot. And you're like, man, I could have just folded this shit pre. What am I fucking doing? You're like sitting there out of the tourney just like, fuck me. Why did I play whatever hand pre-flop? I could have folded. That's how I feel anyway. I'm a tourney fish. Like, those little things, that's what I leave the tournament with. I'm not, like, do you know All In Pav? He just plays like 10 hours a day every day. Dude, just like lose a bunch, win a bunch back. Next minute, still grind another 10 hours. Like, he is resilient for the tournaments. Like, he can handle busting. I'm like, I lose one tourney, I come 30th. I'm like, man, fuck. I don't know, dude. I can't do that again. And then the next day I wake up, I'm like, man, maybe I'll play a tournament today. That was kind of fun. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a noob.
It's fun to have the journey, but like, I similarly don't. I don't know how you do the cash game thing, because to me, I'm just so used to the dynamic situation in tournaments. So when I see cash games, I'm like, this is the same spot all the time. Like, how do you motivate yourself to like continually enter those spots?
Well, I quit for years because I got fucking sick of it. So I guess the reason I do these days is because I find it like it's actually pretty interesting how hard to play every fucking spot is. I'm playing 2 tables of Zoom on the stream, and I'm like, man, this spot is just so fucking complicated. I'm like, maybe I'll just do this, maybe I'll do that. I probably should have thought about this. It's super hard. So like, I get what you mean. You're in the same spot, but you also don't know what the fuck you're doing in any of the spots, and you're like, wow, this game is just so hard. And then you play a tournament, you got like 10 BB, and you're like, oh fuck, all in, whatever. It's so different. Like, not to shit talk tourneys too much, like they are complicated and stuff, but as a cash player, I guess it's like you've always felt like cash is like the real game, and then tourneys are kind of just like the fun game where there's all the fish. But cash is like the hard game, and you're kind of proud of yourself. You're like, yeah, I'm a reg man. That's kind of how it feels. But these days, I don't know. The convenience is great, right? You just sit down, play straight away, Zoom pool, fast forward pool, whatever it is. You don't even have to join a wait list. You feel like taking a break, go take a shit, whatever, sit out, come back, still here, play a bit more, take a phone call, play a bit more, go out. You can be productive in terms of putting in your hands without having to like commit a lot of time like tournaments. Yeah.
That I envy it so much. It would be so nice. I rallied to Party Poker. I was like, you guys should really try and make a tournament that like fits into normal people's lives, like normal 9 to 5.
I have the best tournament idea. The absolute best. No, I can't tell you. It's honestly, it's too good. I can't say it on stream.
Okay. I'll drop some exclusives.
I swear to God. And I actually was going to pitch this to Rob. I even emailed Eleanor about it, but I haven't received a response yet. And with some other people, we had some other ideas we were going to pitch, but like he's kind of busy is the thing at the moment with the whole virus and how it's affecting live and stuff like that. But he had, anyway, long story short, I think this is the best time to launch it too, because there's so many people playing that normally aren't playing. And it would pull so much traffic from other sites to your site if you had this. Like, I guarantee this idea is just insane. I would prop bet so much money on this. Although I'm pre-buster, but I would still prop bet a lot of my own money on this idea taking off. But yeah, I can't tell. I'll tell you off stream or something like that. It's just, there's no patent. But the idea is valuable because like any site that has it gets a first mover advantage of like gaining a lot of traffic. It's also a very streamable format. And it is basically what you were saying. It's like all the good parts of a tournament, more or less, with less time. But it's not like it's a hyper turbo, just fucking all in shove fest. Anyway, I'll tell you about it later. It's good.
Okay. I mean, I might have a similar idea here.
Okay. Be funny if we just had the same idea.
I have 2. One is very simple. It's just time. I'm just like, you guys should do like a Monday. You should do a daily tournament where there's like a 90-minute play window every day.
Okay, that's smart.
It's from like 10 to 11:30 in Europe, let's say, so that people that have jobs and families like know, okay, it's 90 minutes of tournaments, and it just goes every day, so that they can like live their life, like they have 90 minutes of tournament poker a day, and that's it. I mean, it wouldn't have a huge turnout, but I was like, that'd be amazing. I would play. It would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, people know what they're signing up for. You wouldn't sign up for it unless you knew, hey, you've got to be free at least this much of the day for this many days in a row, or those days of the week or whatever. So yeah, for sure, it's a good idea. Offering something like that, even if it was just a one-off, that would, get you some customers that maybe a different site didn't have. So it's pretty good. No reason not to do that, I'd say.
The second one is a little bit more experimental, and I mean, it's a similar idea. I've sort of pitched it to some people at Party Poker, and it hasn't got enough passion to really move forward. But it's kind of like a true battle royale, right? Which is, tournament pokers are kind of like battle royales, where you eliminate and the field gets smaller, and then there's a winner. But there isn't the concept of gas that there is in other battle royales, where the field is closing in on you, and you have to hit like benchmarks being in a certain area at certain times. So my idea is to have the gas increase as a chip amount, basically. Okay. So that would be, let's say we start a tournament 50,000 chips. Say the gas is at 10,000, and then when the next level goes up, the gas will go to 20,000. So if you're below that 20,000 mark with like 5 hands to go, you need to get above 20,000, or you're going to take a penalty of 25% of your stack each hand when you're in the gas, right? So basically, it creates this very dynamic situation as the gas gets 60k, 70k, 80k, where like the short stacks need to get out, or else they're going to be chunking a quarter of their stack. And then big stacks are going to try and hunt these chips, but they don't want to risk themselves putting
and
themselves
give it
in gas.
and make it a knockout too. So it's just like everybody's all in every fucking hand. They're like don't know what they're doing. They're just like, it's just
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so difficult to model.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
It's so fun to play because you have a success mark every time that the gas goes up and you're not in the gas. To a noob, you're just like, okay, I survived. That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, so solvers can solve it. Very dynamic, very fun, super streamable. It would be better than normal tournaments, in my opinion. I think it'd just be the most fun way of playing a poker tournament. But it's a tough one to develop, so I don't know if anyone will do it.
I think it's a good. I mean, I like ideas like that. So a lot of people don't is the main thing. Like people don't like the change that much, but they brought out knockout tournaments, progressive knockout, I should say, and that basically changed the game. Like these seem to be the most popular tournaments by far these days. So it's not like these innovations aren't going to take off. And maybe that would be something that everybody could relate to, especially if they've played some of those type of games and could understand that sort of correlation. But I'm sure there's a way to explain it to people that made sense. But when you first started telling me to, I was like, wait, so are these blinds, or wait, do you lose your stack? But then it all clicked for me. Now I get what you mean. It's cool. It does make sense, and I don't know. It seems like a good idea, man. I'd definitely play it.
Yeah, I just think it'd be fun, dude. The problem is it's not. If we can make it even more dynamic, it makes it so that good players have more and more to learn, and then solvers have more and more things that they can't model. And you just can't model that spot. Like you're four off the gas going up. There's 2 guys in the gas. And then there's 4 guys that if they tangle with the guys not in the gas, they're going to be put in the gas. And there's 2 guys that are clear of everyone, even if they double someone up. How do you model the ranges there? In a solver, you can't. It's just so variable.
Yeah.
That you're just back to what do I think this human's going to do?
Yeah. My one issue with those things is it rewards regs so hard. Fish come in, they want to have their first experience in this tourney, and they don't even know what's going to hit them, the regs already understand the spots pretty well because they've just played a bunch. And the fish who just hey, he's like, I'll try this out. Maybe he gets completely fucked, He makes some move, and something happens to him, he just couldn't expect it, and retrospectively it was a massive losing play, and he's just like, oh, fuck this, Because I was toying around with some ideas. It's kind of like splash pots, right? Some people just hate them. Because maybe you're a fish, you've got ace jack, you're like, fuck it, splash pot, it's $20, he goes all in for $300 under the gun. Some dude just has ace queen, calls him, he's like, well, this is bullshit. I wouldn't have lost that money with ace jack if I didn't, if there wasn't this splash pot thing. So I don't know, there's a bit of risk with putting fish at a further disadvantage, but I still like the concept. I think it's cool. And if they understood it, I'm sure it would balance it out and make it a bit more gamble and fair for the fish. But it's just that initial impression, right? Thinking you got to flush and plow with 1 card, and you lose your fucking stack. You don't feel too good about the game after that. And you see it happen sometimes. Yeah,
no, it's a tough one for sure, and you don't want to make a higher skill edge than what already exists, because then you're just creating a funnel of fish losing their money even faster, which is what we don't.
Yeah,
it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? About the economics of poker? Because I think
it's good that all these fish have jobs. Without that, we'd be fucked. Basically,
right.
They go to work, they come home, their fucking wife's in their ear. They're like, "Look, honey, I got to play some poker. All right, leave me the fuck alone." So he goes and has his poker, gets away from his wife and kids, has a little gamble. Sometimes he gets close. Sometimes he's like me, comes 30th in the tourney. He's like, "Fuck this shit." Next day he enters again. It was kind of fun. It was kind of annoying. He's not really sure what to think. He's just having fun. He's getting away from the wife and kids. So we give him something, If a fish chats at the table, I'll be like, "Ah, yeah, what's up, man?" That kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's a predatory fucking game. It's brutal. And if you do it live, I actually hate when there's a really nice, awful player live. And I just I have to stack him, And I know how he plays, and I'm going to fucking check raise him, and he's not going to fold, and my range is the nizzles only. I just feel bad, and then you roll it up, you're like, sorry, man, I got a fuck full house. He's like, that's all right, mate, that's all right, and he leaves with no money. I'm like, man, can this guy even fucking afford to be losing this money, It's a brutal game. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah. I've had the situations in live where you're not sure if they're their financial situation. But I just got around to that. Like, I just can't take on everyone's issues. You know? Like, it's just not my burden to bear all of them. It's
I know, but empathy-wise, you can't ignore it all. There's some people that like just get through to you, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I always try and. I mean, when I played live, I played relatively small stakes, like 1-2 and 2-5. Mostly 1-2, which you could buy into for 500. So like,
okay, that's pretty good.
We actually made a decent hourly at 1-2, like $20 or so. It was like pretty good. But when I saw like the rich fish that were coming in to have a good time, I always try and like curate a competitive, friendly atmosphere with them, where like immediately you're like, "How's it going, Mike? I'm Jamie. I'm gonna try and stack you, Mike." Like that kind of stuff, and then we'd have the banter of like back and forth, like, "Oh, you got me this time." Like almost make it a meme that like we're gonna fight each other, and that way I wouldn't.
When
feel
you
bad.
finally flop a set on them, it's all good.
Yeah, because I was just like, "Oh, I got you this time, Mike." You know,
for all your stack, you got me. Oh, you got me, man, for $10. Oh, I got you this time though for your whole stack. What can you do?
I'm getting smashed, Mike.
Nah, for sure, man. Like I would say, when you're playing like mid stakes or whatever live, people. There's not that many problem gambler types. Like you generally got people. They're smart about it. They bring a certain amount of money. They're willing to lose it. Call it a day. Like they're already used to losing somewhat, I'd say.
Yeah.
But when you're playing the 1-2, that's where I find you got the people that you actually feel bad for sometimes. Like the person who comes and he buys them for like $60. Do you know what I mean? He like maybe he goes, reloads, he's got three $20 notes to the cashier, another 60, and that's him, you know, and he's really hoping to win. And I just like, maybe you don't even like the guy, maybe he's a bit of an asshole, but at the same time, like you're kind of ruining this dude a little bit. But he's ruining himself. I'm not his dad or anything, but I don't know. Yeah. That's the kind of shit that sort of hurts for me personally, seeing that kind of, because like maybe he's got kids, you know, like what the fuck's this guy doing here, you know? Anyway, it's off topic.
It's like a lesson that's unavoidable almost, and it's just like you feel shitty for being the beneficiary, but it's also like you can't stop this guy from going through his process of
just dumping
trying to play poker, you know, thinking for a hot second like this is going to be his thing, and realizing it isn't when he loses a 120, and he learned a lesson. I don't know. Like
they never learn a lesson. That's the problem. Poker's too smart. They walk away thinking it was luck. You know, they're like, fucking bullshit. He finally had something this time against me. Why me? You know, or he got there. God damn it. It was a 50-50, and he fucking, of course he got there. Yeah. I don't know. It's a savage game. It's really smart. Like whoever invented it, they had no idea how good what they invented was. Like it's perfect. Everybody thinks it's a bad beat. You only remember the bad beats. Nobody remembers that time where they binked off a deuce after calling a 4-bet with deuces, you know? And just stacked a guy. They're like, oh, I won today. I crushed. I destroyed people. That's all you remember. Yeah. But you remember when that guy, he hit an ace. Oh, he hit an ace on the flop, man. You had ace king against kings. So brutal. Yeah.
It is crazy how balanced it is. Like how balanced poker, because it could have been anything. And it could have been so poorly balanced towards one side, but it's just not. It's like a perfect long-term skill, short-term luck, filled with hope. It's perfect. Yeah, you're right.
So what's the deal? I know you got a brother. I'm assuming he's your younger brother.
Yeah.
And he's a big streamer too. So how did that sort of play out? Obviously, you were in the streets, the Twitch streets first, just crushing it. You were like, bro, like, you know, get in on this shit. It's free money kind of thing. Or what was the story there?
So I was 23, I think, 22 or 23 when I first started. He was 18. He needed a job, and I needed help because like streaming is intense. And back then I was streaming like 6 days a week. I would respond to every message on social media. Like I was all out. I was all out. Every email, like trying to expand to YouTube. So I was like, Matt, I need help. Will you be my assistant?
And you have to call me boss.
yeah.
He didn't chuck that.
So it was at our parents' house. We're both living at home. He moved into the room next door to me in my parents' basement, and he helped me with stuff. Like he would just moderate the stream. He would do like life stuff for me so that I didn't have to deal with it, because I would wake up at 8, start the stream at 9, stream till like 7, answer messages, and then just like sleep like every day. So it started like that. He just needed a job, and then he eventually quit. He started streaming like smallest stakes, like 10-cent tournaments, 2-cent tournaments. Like he learned on Twitch. And then he quit and he started streaming, and he kind of just went from there, man. Like literally, he built his bankroll from $10 to like 160K now, all on Twitch.
So he shafted you. He was your employee. One day you were expecting him to come to work. Instead, he was in the room next to you, not working.
I was pretty pissed at the time. We were living together. I wasn't pissed that he quit. I was like, good, you got to follow your dreams, but you also need to give me more than 1 day notice so that I can get someone else to help me. You can't just be like, I'm done. Like, just give me a week, Matt, please. But yeah, no, I was pumped. We were living in Calgary at that point with Kevin Martin in a stream house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's done so well since. Like, he's crushed it.
I saw him doing a cooking stream with his girlfriend recently. I thought that was kind of good. I was like, cooking stream. I mean, I don't cook, but I could like stream my girlfriend cooking. That could be a thing, you know?
Right.
I was going to make some sort of inappropriate comments about doing the cooking, and I was like, hey, wait, I'll probably get banned on Twitch for this shit, so I better not do that.
Yeah. During quarantine times, are you going to be cooking more? Because I'm cooking way more because I have to.
My girl just cooks everything, so...
She just does it all.
Yeah, man.
That's nice. That's nice, dude.
Because I'm busy, you know, I'm doing my stream, man. You can relate.
I get it.
Nah, I'm playing. But she's good like that, so...
Yeah. Rebecca was away for about a week, and we've been in quarantine, so it's like... shit.
Is your girlfriend, I assume?
Yeah, fiance. And so I've had to cook all sorts of, like, joints of beef. Like, I just learned, again, like, oh yeah, this is what you do. Yeah. I usually rely on her the same way to help, or, you know, just like delivery food too, but it's not an option.
I had a follow-up for that for a second. And so if you read the chat, it's always a risk, you know? Because I want to pay attention, and then I read the chat, I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then
Dude,
it's like,
I'm with
confuses
you,
me, man.
I do a podcast, and I find it so hard right now, because I'm new to podcasts. So, like, transition from having a conversation to, like, looking at the questions you wrote. Like, it's just so... I'm with you, dude. I think you just got to scroll through the chat and see what's going on.
You might want to move your mic just slightly away. I just hear a little crackling. I'm not sure if it's that bad. I did ask them in the chat.
I might have... Let me see what's going on here.
It just sounds like there might be a bit extra gain. It's kind of... You know how it can sometimes do that crackle, like, when it's quite loud. Yeah. But the volume itself is good, I think. So, just thought I might chuck that comment in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, oh yeah, that's right. I got the question. I heard there's a weight loss prop bet with Billy P.
There was.
Okay, how did that go down? How did you meet him, or how did that all come up?
Yeah, it was an insane journey. So we were doing this project called Streamboat, where Bill streamed on his boat. He invited us to come in and stream on his boat as well in the Virgin Islands. So we went to do this, and it was my brother Matt and me, and Jeff Gross was the first one. And basically, Matt was like super small at that point, and I was super big at that point. And then Bill Perkins proposed a prop bet where we had to get within a pound in a year. And if we could do that, he would pay us 150K. And if we couldn't, then we had to pay him 3K, basically. So he gave us 50 to 1 odds.
Dude, can you give me this guy's fucking phone number, please? I like money. I like money. I'd be like, hey man, look, I've got this stupid idea. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Give me 100 to 1?
Alright,
cool.
People try that, but it doesn't, you know, he's got to know you. It's got to be a thing where, like,
he obviously offered
it.
I doubt you came in with that deal like, hey man, do you want to give me 50 to 1 on this prop bet?
Yeah, exactly. No, it just needs to come up.
He's a cool dude, man.
We were 170 pounds apart, I think, or 175.
Oh yeah, so it's like 75 kilos or something, right? It's a lot. It's like
it's a lot.
It's a large female. The difference between you two would be like a pretty sturdy female.
Yes, for sure. So we started that process, and like we were living in.
Was he getting fat, or was he just lifting? Like, what was his strategy?
Both.
Yeah,
both. I mean, he was just mashing as much food as he could and hitting the gym, 6 days a week, basically.
And what was your strategy? Just a water-only diet?
It was about 1,200 calories.
Okay, that's something.
Like, mostly high protein, and then cardio on the smallest days of like an hour, low intensity cardio, not high intensity because it's a sustained effort, and then on the longest days like 4 or 5 hours, just low intensity cardio. We were moving around a bunch, which helped because I would explore the places we were. So we were in Austria and Croatia, and Wales and Costa Rica and Malta. Was where we lived during the bet. So I'd just go on these long 3-4 hour walks, stop for espresso halfway, and it kind of worked. But it was very intense, man. It was just like a super crazy physical endurance thing. But yeah, we won. So we waited in Reno. Then we booked a follow-up bet.
Were you sweating if he'd pay you or not? Was it a sweat at all?
0%. 0%. Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, I was joking. What are you talking? Oh, you think I'd give you 50 to 1 on that? Come on, man. I was never going to take you 3,000. You're like, come on, Bill. He's like, look, man, if the situation was reversed, I wasn't going to take you 3K, all right? Don't try and hustle me for 150. Look, you should be proud of yourself, mate. You lost all that weight. Come on, man. That's a gift itself. See you later.
Yeah, that's what the chat was saying, but no, there was never a sweat on Bill Perkins paying. Like he was at a Warriors game, like front row when we were doing the weigh-in, like on the phone. Like the guy, he's got enough to pay. Like it's not. Yeah, it's not like.
I'm just playing. He seems like an awesome dude, honestly. Although I reckon his girl, I don't know, man. I see some instances of his girl. She got that resting bitch face on her. I'm kind of like, Bill, mate. I don't know. You could do better, man. You could do better. She looks like a bit of a bitch, but I don't know her. So
Laura's good, man. I've met Laura, and she's so nice. She's so genuine, so nice. She immediately comes up and can have an authentic conversation, and it's not one of those things because she's obviously incredibly beautiful. So you might come in with some preconceived notions of like, okay, well, is this girl just all about how beautiful she is? But she's not. She's like really smart, genuine, good communicator. I'm a huge Lara fan. I think she's awesome.
All right. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. It's just, some females have that appearance, like that sort of snarly model look about them, where there's no smile. It's just something like that. I don't know. For me, it's a bit of it's a down, not an up. But yeah.
No.
I don't know her at all. Sure. But look, if I was Billy P, man, I wouldn't be just one chick. There'd be a few around. I wouldn't play that. It's a bad choice just to go for one, I think. Really.
I would wager that he's had periods in his life like that. I don't know. I don't know how first-hand accounts, but he hangs out with Blizzarian, so I'm sure he's
maybe he gets the pass, like the weekend pass or something. That could be a good deal.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're an open couple. Who knows? We don't know the story.
That's true.
Could be.
Seems like there's a lot of love going on. If I had to guess, I'm just looking into the Insta stuff, so like, there's probably no point talking about this. What's
I mean, I think Bill lives a pretty happy life. I would say, like, he's got his family around him, which is awesome. Like I said, I think Lara is the best and just so genuine and cool. But then he's also just like flying to wherever he wants to be all the time. It seems like, which to me is like this ultimate freedom. Just flying to Houston, flying to LA, going to Russia for like a couple weeks, coming back. Like, it's got to be so fun to continually just have unlimited movement freedom,
It's pretty good. If I was a billionaire, I'd probably carry a couple of bricks with me, like wherever I roll. And sometimes the dude's just like funny, you just like chuck him 50K, like fuck it. It's like, oh shit, I like this guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Don't know. I'd probably go broke pretty fast with that strategy though, but still.
That's the thing, yeah. So Bill, like when I went to Bill's place in the Virgin Islands, he lives on the US side, but he can travel to the British side really easy. I mean, he drives around these Jeeps, right? For a guy that's got like, I don't know how much money, but lots of millions of dollars. He just drives around these like $30,000 Jeeps on the island. Like, there's no Lambo there. There's no like super flex. And his house isn't like lavishly put together with like these gold instruments. Like, it's just very practical. Which to me was a good lesson of like, okay, this is how rich people live. Like, they are all about practical experience and not the flash. And that's like kind of what I chase now, is the practical experience of freedom in my life.
Yeah. You got one of those wallets that's just cards. You're like, yes, I'm living like a billionaire right now. No cash.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a billionaire probably wouldn't even need a wallet. because the assistant would
Right.
just settle it behind you
You
as
just,
you're walking
you just
around.
carry a whistle with you and start demanding shit whenever you want.
True.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So, back to the weight loss bet for a second. You said you were moving around in Europe. Is that where you met your girl then, or how did that occur?
We met online originally, but we met up in person in Wales. So yeah, it was that summer when I was going through the first bet. Yeah, we met up in Wales. That was cool, and then I was off to Barcelona and then Costa Rica, and I was like, "Hey, we should just get together, and you should just come with me to Barcelona and Costa Rica." She's like, "Well, I have a job." I was like, "Yeah,
That's a fair point.
I'll give you a job. Like, I need help with stuff." And she was like, "Okay," and that was it. And we kind of just took off from there, and then we got, I don't know, we got engaged like a year and a half ago now.
Okay, cool. Is she pissed at you for like getting fat again, or?
I mean, she is not. No, I mean, she's seen the behind the scenes. So there was a second bet after the first bet, which was try and get below 10% body fat.
That's very strong.
Yeah, which is super hard. And like going into that second bet, it was 50K for 150K. The people that I talked to, Mike Viconti was like our trainer through the whole thing, and Bill Perkins, who was booking the bet against us. Like everyone we consulted said, you can do this, right? And we're like, okay, so let's do it. But I hit a mental wall big time. Like the effects of the first bet came through, like 3 or 4 months after winning, of just like, holy shit, that was insane. Like overwhelmed, like burnt out. I can't do this. So we failed the second bet, and it like brought up a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of issues, man. There's just like a lot of mental coping issues with like how extreme that experience was for me, which may seem ridiculous. It's just like, okay, you lost 120 pounds in a year, like that happens. But it was more so the pressure of my brother, who didn't have any money at the time, like having to perform for him. So there was like no option for failure with him in the bet. I couldn't allow him to lose, potentially 75K and have to like pound food and work out every day for a year because I didn't get there. It just wasn't an option. So there's that pressure. But then there's also the world, dude. To me, in my brain, it was like building up, who are you to the world? And like, there's no higher stakes. It's like I'm deciding who I am as a human being. So that pressure was just like, it just broke me, basically. So yeah, it's been a long time, like getting over that. I still deal with issues around like anxiety and like some post-traumatic stress from the whole experience of like taking this on. But the nice thing on the other side of the bets now is like I get to approach things with my own timeline and my own sort of rules. Like there is no clock on me and there's no expectation either. So nowadays it's just like I'm going to the gym every day now. I'm working on it. I quit smoking about 8 months ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I quit smoking 8 months ago, so I put on like 40 pounds quitting smoking, like huge disaster.
Worth it though. It's a good step. I also used to smoke for a long time. I quit too.
It's the worst, man. And like smoking was really a coping mechanism for me in a lot of ways to relieve some of that stress. So like panic attacks, anxiety, like through the roof, crazy. But I've come out the other side of that feeling pretty good, and so I'm losing weight again. It's just hard, man. Like it's just hard. You can't do all these things at once. And the terms of the bet that I had, there was a very clear end line, but it wasn't sustainable in the way that I got there. It's just too intense. So that's kind of like the full story.
Props on fucking winning the first bet either way. I mean, that's still pretty extreme. And someone was pointing out that like I'm too direct with my question, but I feel like I'm pretty fat for myself at the moment, so I'm not really doing any judging. Like, if to put it in perspective, I probably weigh more than you. I'm like in pounds, I'm 117 kilos, so 250 at least. Probably more.
I'm more than you. But
really?
We're close.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what's your height? Are you about 6 foot or something?
No, I'm 5'10".
5'10". Oh, yeah. But yeah, so I'm like one of the big. I was 125. I've come down slightly from that. I totally feel your buzz, man. It's hard, and like especially with the streaming, like I was actually gonna not eat much today, just for whatever reason, and then I had an interview with you. Plus, I was gonna stream, and I was like, man, I don't want to be, because I'll get tilted as fuck. Like if I'm not eating all day, like I'll be a lot more prone to random shit tilting me. It like makes me feel more tired. So I can understand like all the shit you must have gone through trying to stream this whole fucking time and like not be just rude, or I don't know what you might be susceptible to when you're not feeling good while you're on in front of the camera. But for me personally, I could easily say something that I regret or anything along those lines. So it's pretty tough, man. And yeah, it sounds like you got a grip on it. And quitting the smoking is a good move, man. I can relate to that. I smoked for like fucking almost 20 years. I'm 32, so started smoking pretty early in my life. But yeah, you got to quit that shit. And then, I'll just finish off my own little rant about that. But I ended up, in terms of what I want to do diet-wise, I'm eating more like 2,000 calories a day because I still want to like kind of be building muscle. I'm not sure, like I don't want to lose muscle, put it that way. And I was doing quite a lot of working out. Like every morning I wake up at 5:30. I've got a gym really close to me. It's convenient. Right now it's shut down, obviously. That's a bit of a problem. But anyway, one of the things I ended up quitting, which I don't know, I'll just put it out there. Maybe it's something you're interested in, maybe it's not, is I felt like I was addicted to the dopamine in the food. So eating something nice was really quite appealing to me. It wasn't like I just wanted to eat something. I wanted to eat something really nice. And that would often become a problem because if you're in a bad mood, say you didn't have a good day for whatever reason, poker or otherwise, getting a nice dopamine release from food was a way to offset that and put you back in like a happy feeling, at least momentarily. And I realized how negative that cycle was for me, not just from food, but the dopamine addiction in general. Like that's why I was like a bit of an alcoholic, which I've since quit. That's why I was a smoker. That's why I'm like addicted to a lot of things. Like a video game's still something I engage with, which maybe I shouldn't. But I decided to quit pleasure eating, which is the way that I viewed it. So I basically only eat plain shit. I'll have like brown rice with chicken and maybe iodized salt because it's like beneficial for your thyroid function. But I'll only eat shit that I think I'm supposed to eat for nutrients. And then outside of that, I just won't. So that's my current strategy. And I feel like it's actually pretty fucking good. So, don't know. I mean, I'm not anywhere near the end of my journey. Like, you've already been there and back twice or whatever. So, just give you my 2 cents on it.
No, I like it. I like it, dude. I mean, what I've come to understand, which is like, and I think there's a lack of understanding from people that don't struggle with it or succeed at getting to a good point, and they look back and they're like, well, why is this so difficult? Like, just stop eating. And really, like, food is just a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism to get the dopamine to feel okay. That's like what it is for most people with weight issues. So it's not like a lack of understanding about calories in, calories out. It's not a lack of understanding about like what exercise does for your body or how to create food for yourself. It's about, I need this to feel okay, and you need to figure out something else in your life to feel okay, to take the place of whatever this is, right? And for me, since I've been 12 years old, 11 or 12, that has been my coping with the way that I am in my brain, basically. So it's a really difficult rewire to take that away. And something has to take its place too. You can't just take it away and just be a strong man. There needs to be something else that's an outlet for whatever you're feeling, or you got to fix what you're feeling.
I feel like, sorry to cut you off here, it's just such an important point. Okay. The idea of replacing something with something else, like some people try to replace shit with meditation and like exercise. It really does. It doesn't work, in my opinion, to make those replacements, at least for a lot of people. But I feel like you just have to cut it off completely and no longer rely on it is really the best strategy for anyone who's at all like addictive, personality type. Like, I feel like I can relate to what you're saying a lot, but the idea of like switching one thing out for the other, like if you quit ciggies, I get it. It's standard to put on weight, but you didn't have to, you know? Whereas you sounded kind of like resigned. You're like, in trading my cigarettes, I will eat more food, but I will feel good because I quit the cigarettes. But that's not a necessary step. Now that I've like quit this eating shit, I feel better about it. I don't feel like ups and downs as much. I just kind of feel like this is a good decision. I think it's more like just being able to constantly ask yourself a question, make a logical answer and stick to it because you trust your own judgment. And that's something that, like, if you're chasing happiness regularly, you don't do, because you're like, well, I don't feel happy just doing grinding or working or things that I think I should do. I'm used to having like my own freedom. Like someone like me, I never had a fucking job. I always had poker for money, and I could just do whatever I want with my day every day. So I never had to put myself through that. But as I got like to the state that I'm in now, I'm like, fuck, it's so important as a guy to have this like foundation of purpose. Otherwise, you'll never feel good, no matter how much shit you eat, drugs you do, whatever it is. So I don't know, man. I hope that you don't replace something with something else, because I felt like for me it never worked. But that's just for me.
Well, like there is research though that it's against your point. But I think the way that you're viewing it, it can be bigger than that. And what I mean is, so Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg or Atomic Habits by James Clear is a brand new one as well. They're both really great. And they talk about the feedback loop of habits, which is like you have a need and you feel the need and then you have the feeling and then it's over, right? So let's take a theoretical example that has nothing to do with anything not productive, right? So let's say you have like a really attractive partner and every time you feel the urge for food, she wants to sleep with you. That could be a replacement for eating, right? And that's not a negative replacement. That's just another activity that could fulfill the need of I'm not feeling okay. Oh, we've got this thing to do, right? So that's like, there's no negative aspect. So when people think of replacements of this issue, if the issue is still there, they think of like cigarettes or alcohol or like something negative. But it could be you train yourself when you have that existential feeling and that feeling of like, what am I supposed to do? Or I'm unhappy in my day. It could be like watching a TV show or reading a book or talking to your partner. Like those are habits you can instill that do the same thing. But the research all points against, you can't just strongman it because willpower is like a muscle, but it also is limited. You have a limited amount of willpower in a day. There's decision fatigue, basically. So you can go really hard through pure willpower for a long time, but unless you fix the feeling in the beginning, or if you replace how you're going to deal with that feeling with something that's healthy as opposed to unhealthy, you're going to fall off the bandwagon because it is just not possible. You need to fix the feeling or replace it with something healthier. And I think that's the case.
Okay. I guess I completely agree with you already. And what I'm doing to myself is I'm getting high off my own, like I'm impressed with my own ability to follow my decisions, and that's a rewarding feeling for me. Like being like, I'm not being a piece of shit right now. I'm actually doing what I think. It's kind of like external validation, but it's not from a different source. It's like from a different part of myself feeling good about actually doing what I think I should do instead of repeating look, I've drunk enough for a lifetime, for example.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't really fantasize about this day where I'm able to moderate my drinking or drug use or whatever it is. I'm just like, you know what? I've done enough for a lifetime. There's really nothing more for me there. And if anything, it's just negative for my life to do things like that. So I'm happy to like punish myself by never drinking again, because I think it's a better decision for me overall. To be honest, though, I probably would still do some drugs at some point. But yeah.
It seems like self-reflection to me. Like if I think about that, to me it's not like meditation, but it seems like, okay, well, I'm just going to take a second here and think about what I'm actually doing, and then that's enough. It's like snapping awareness to the situation, and then that's it. Which definitely was super helpful for me in the first bet, which was.
Well, that sounds like pure willpower. That one. Or at least you would have needed a lot of it. Like you made a long climb.
Willpower, but then also environment too. I think moving around really helped because I was excited to explore and I enjoyed doing that. So that was nice, like Croatia and Malta and Costa Rica, like you just walk and explore for hours.
I couldn't do it, bro. I could not do it.
No? You don't like exploring new cities and stuff?
I don't at all. Like people are always like, oh, you should go and do this. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'll go play sport. With whoever. That's my healthy activity that's outside of the house. But I don't know, man. Like sometimes it's nice. Like you go out, you just happen to see a good sight. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of get it. But like spending 4 hours of my day to do that, I don't know. It's not me, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can respect that. It's like that's great. Like it's a great use there's so many productive things about doing something like that. Like, you're probably thinking about a lot of things that are good, like, just for you in general as well, like self-reflecting, whatever it is. You do a lot of that kind of stuff when you're alone by yourself doing an activity like that. That doesn't involve that much, like, decision making, I guess. But for me, I love to just be immersed in the moment in my spare time. So that's like a holiday for me. If I'm just sort of sitting around the house, like, I'm thinking way too much trash. But if I like play a video game, there's too much shit happening at once in the game, and I'm completely involved in that moment. It's sort of the same as a team sport. There's very little time to stop and like think random garbage. Like, everything you do has a purpose and is trying to like guess what's happening here, what's happening there, what's good. I love just being in the moment, and I don't know. You don't do it that much as a guy. Like, you spend a lot of time thinking about the past and a lot of time like planning for the future or things like that. And that feels like the hard work, and the being in the moment feels like the kind of reward, I guess, to me. But yeah, different people, obviously. But yeah, out of interest, I did have one other question, I guess, for your time spent during that prop bet. Was that the time that you felt the best as yourself, like after succeeding in that, or like coming close to the end, like making it that far in terms of losing weight? Like, what would you say was like the best stage of your life in terms of overall happiness? I guess that's my question. And was it that time, or was it something else?
So, I think so. I think it was pretty euphoric, I guess. Winning the bets in Reno, the first bet. And then, man, the media that came after was like huge. Like, I was on Good Morning America with Matt.
Wow.
That's cool. Was calling, like, we had like 8 or 9 interviews with a lot of news stations and like big publications. And like, yeah, I mean, everyone was just so happy and so hyped, And I remember writing at that time in my journal about like how this was such a high peak that I'm like,
you're worried about it.
This is not how life goes, and I know that. I know it doesn't just keep going up from here. Like, I need to think back to this moment, because there's going to be times when I'm in a valley again, and like, I remember this to get back to something like this, right? Do something as epic as this. So yeah, I mean, it was so huge that I think that was peak. But again, it wasn't sustainable how I got there. Like, there was a big mess waiting for me on the back end, coming through a couple months later of like, wow, that was too much, like, I'm burnt the hell out. So yes, but I guess I'm sort of apologetic to like, and accepting that I've slid away from that form, because I think it was inevitable. But I look forward to getting back to a place like that and doing something epic like that again one day.
Why do you feel that it was inevitable though? Like, had you decided that, do you think, sort of in advance of the unwinding process, or whatever you want to call it, occurring? Do you think, like, you'd already sort of said to yourself, or was it just as it started to happen, you sort of felt it was somewhat inevitable? Or can you explain more about that? Because it's quite an interesting time,
Yeah, so I think when I wrote about it, it was probably like a protection mechanism of like, okay, this is how you feel, but just like prepare yourself in case you get hurt or in case you fall, because, most people don't experience this kind of peak. And it's pretty likely from a mathematical point of view, if you will, or like a probability point of view, that like you're going to enter periods that are not like this at all. Like, this is not your new normal, most likely, right? So I think that was just protection, But in terms of like the kickback, man, after the fact, like, I didn't really know it at the time. Again, I took on another bet thinking like, oh yeah, I can do this. Like, I just did this. My trainer says I can do it. I feel good. I'm ready to go to the gym every day. Like, let's do it. But then it was a few months later that like everything was unearthed from, again, just the huge amount of pressure I put on myself. Like, I really built my identity around this idea. And then physically as well. Like, it was just insane. 1,200 calories, living in 6 countries, while vlogging, while streaming, while being sponsored by a company, holding up to my brother, getting in a new relationship. Like, it's just too much, man. It was insane. Looking back on it.
You had it covered though, man. You were already so used to that routine, no? it wasn't anything, like you were still on 1200 calories regardless, right? Like you didn't transition at all. Or was there like a period where you were like, oh, we fucking done it, let's have something good, you know, let's have a nice meal? Or did that kind of thing enter in at all? Or
there was like maybe like 10 binges or so throughout the year, which my trainer sort of recognized is going to happen. Like you can't just live on 1200 calories for 365 days and just be perfect. So like there's a few times where like I would just kind of freak out and eat, you know, like 3000 calories, which I probably still lost weight because I walked 4 or 5 hours that day. But like it was never a planned like cheat. It was unplanned cheats when I just snapped, basically.
yeah, I mean, fuck. Like I hope nothing but the best for you, man. I just, maybe there's something to find like in those moments, because you seem sort of like the thing is, bro, it just wasn't fucking inevitable. You know, you had it fucking done. But for some reason, you self-sabotaged, you know, and that's something that might still be there. And, like, you seem pretty smart and, like, pretty aware of what's going on in your own head and shit, so fuck doing that again, right? Like, if you're ever in that spot again, just know that you're better than that. And you don't have to. I don't really know what else to say. It just sounds like you could do it for sure. But this excuse of, like, oh, it was inevitable, and like there was all this pressure. It's like, no, fuck that, man. You had that crushed. Like, I think, were you doing any drugs out of interest? I don't want to blame it, but just it needs to be said.
I started smoking halfway through, but I didn't have a realistic expectation of how I was doing, right? So and this is how people often think about it after the fact, which is like you're making excuses for your failure post it happening. But it's not the case. Like I'm in a good spot now and I'm moving towards a good direction. And I've been in a good direction, so it's not like I'm trying to explain my way out of why I had failure after the bet. It's just a reality of what I've experienced, which is like I was able to manage that. But then after the fact, I wasn't able to manage it at all. You know, like there was a big unraveling of like me losing my mental health in a big way, and then like me not being able to put forward the effort to keep up with my physical health. Right, and that's not an excuse. That's just what happened. It's not like I was trying for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But through a lot of counseling and therapy, I've learned more about how my brain works and why I do the things that I do, and why I choose to make the decisions I make. And it makes sense, dude. It's just like I have an ADHD sort of brain, right? So like I'm in the zone, doing things, like just not really processing what's happening. And I get to the end, and then there's time to sit and think and process, right? It's over. And then it's just like, it's in. It's like in the moment thing. I was in the moment for a year. And then
it's impressive though.
Yeah. And then it's just like, oh, you're kind of fucked, man. Like you like what you just did, like you shouldn't have done that. That was too much. And I was fucked for a bit. You know, but now I'm okay. I'm in a good spot. It was worth it. It's an amazing journey. If I could go back and Bill offered the bet, would I take it? No, definitely not. But now that I've done it, like I'm really proud of it. We're moving towards a good direction. So
sorry to stick with that topic for a while, man.
No, it's okay.
It's just very interesting, and it's so sick, you know. Like if I had done that myself, I don't know. I can just imagine myself in that spot since I'm also overweight, you know. And for me, I'm just like, fuck, how would that happen to me? Would that really be what happens to me? Fuck, I don't know. You know, I'm just putting myself in your shoes, and then because of that, I'm like, well, I want to know things, you know, like he knows because he's done it, you know. So I want to ask you some shit, but it might be a bit inappropriate or annoying. So sorry about that.
No, it's okay. People want to know about it, man. I took on the bet, so I understand. It's just, you know, I think I wouldn't advise doing it that way. To me, I think I'll write a book about this whole process, and I thought I was going to write a book about winning the first bet and then winning the second bet and sailing off into the future on the front of Men's Health magazine.
I love it.
That's not how it went down. But I think what the story will be is the discovery of the underlying issue is not one of, again, what the chat kind of mentions and what Instagram mentions. It's not, you know, one-liner clips of motivation. It's not understanding. It's 80% diet. It's 20% exercise. It's about coming to understand yourself and like why you choose to do the things you do, and then trying to address the underlying issue. There's all sorts of diets that put band-aids on top of of the problem, and they work because it simplifies your decision making. But the real issue is, why do I not feel okay to where I have to overeat? Like that's the problem. And it's the one that people who are healthy don't really understand because they don't have that problem.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the book, the discovery of that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, like underlying issues. For a lot of us, I feel like, in general, smarter people do have a sort of struggle with, hey, I'm not happy, why, you know? And it's different from person to person, but it seems to be somewhat common. One thing I found interesting when I was talking to Matt Berkey, that was the last person I had as a guest on like this kind of podcast format. He never drunk. He never did any shit like that. And he never had that problem. And I know a couple other people that are like that. I'm like, holy fuck, man, I'm not letting my kids do any shit. This seems like a GTO strategy. Just never overload on dopamine, basically. Because that's like, especially as a teenager, I was smoking at 12, smoking weed, you know, drinking and shit. I was kind of a bigger kid, and my friends were older than me because of the size and like I was kind of clever or whatever. So I always had older friends, wanted to be cool, do all the cool shit, you know. But terrible for me, man. Like absolutely horrible. Just got to imagine, like, it's like if we go back in time, like my dad and his mates were kicking a lemon around like on the weekend for a bit of fun, you know. Now we got the fucking internet. This is like a complete overload. Like, you could never enjoy kicking the fucking lemon around after the internet. So it's not like it's good for us. Like, either way, we're going to experience the same emotions. Like, overloading when you're young, like these children that use iPads and stuff, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem good. We don't really know how negative the effects are, but it does seem to do something to their state of mind, right? Where they need more to be happy. And there's so much comparison person to person due to social media as well. You want this, you want that, the grass is always greener. It's very hard to just be like, I'm a guy and I do this and I like it, you know? Life's too complicated now.
No, absolutely. I think the pursuit of straight edge is something that it seems like a lot of poker players are into, and like something I'm into. Like,
what is that exactly?
Get rid of all your crutches. Like, basically, like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have any vices or addictions to where I'm just like completely clean, basically. And that's something like I try. But then, do you ever worry about like the other side of the argument? I do sometimes, of like, okay, I'm basically pursuing being boring in a pop culture sense, you know? Like, is it okay to have some crutches because F it, life is short and like I need to live? It's not a rational approach, but there might be something there too.
I think if you've already degened off hard in your 20s, then you probably don't need shit. And that's kind of me. But if you've never done anything, you should definitely do a bunch of shit. I'm definitely in that camp. Like, you got to do some stuff. That's what the 20s are for, really. Like, meet some chicks, do some drugs, like, have some good experiences that you can, like, look back on later in life and be like, you know what, I did that, it was fucking sick, but I don't need to do that shit anymore. If you never did it, that would be a terrible regret, I agree. But yeah, don't know.
Yeah.
Do you do many drugs out of interest, or not really something you want to talk about?
No, I did some, like, right after high school, but I haven't since then, basically. And my party phase was very short. It's like 8 months or so, where I pretty much went out almost every night. It's a lot of fun, of course, but it was empty at the end of the day too. I went from wanting to be Tiger Woods and a pro golfer to partying for 8 months to then becoming a poker pro. And that was it, basically.
So you're good at golf, obviously.
I was. It's 10 years ago now, 11 years ago. I was almost scratch.
Is that a par player? Scratch?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that's a long way off, like being an actual pro golfer. So
I think it's the dream for every dude. If you could like reset your life just to somehow be a pro athlete.
Yeah.
Fuck, I would love that shit. That would be so cool.
Golf is so nice too because it has such long longevity, and you have the flexibility of playing for yourself, so that you can determine your own schedule. You're not dependent on other people. So yeah, I think I'll still do something with golf in my life too. I think the golf poker mix works so well that there's something there. I think I will be a golfer again one day. I'm not sure how, but we'll see.
So what about Vegas? Did you ever do some Vegas, some golf, some prop bet, that kind of thing? You could probably hustle some people.
I've never played money matches in golf before. it was kind of like I stopped golfing before I made any money in poker. So those worlds never collided, but it's just hard to, because the handicap system in golf makes it so that you should theoretically be flipping, right?
Yeah.
Going into matches, and like the skill is getting it so that you have a better
The skill
spot
is the
before the match.
sales pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is like poor performance in the high pressure spots, I guess. But it's
I feel like you could get into a bunch of games with just like other poker people, and it's just like even money. You know, you'd probably be crushing.
I guess that's possible. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not really what you want to do, right? Just like hustling your mates or whatever. That guy you know.
Yeah.
Are you much of a prop better outside of that weight loss one? Was there any other, like, do you regularly prop bet with your friends? I know I used to. I kind of stopped as we got a bit on in the years, but what's your deal with that stuff? You like a good prop bet?
Just those two prop bets. I think I'm retired from prop bets in that, honestly, it's usually it's selling your time and your well-being for money, which the value of money is decreasing the more I get of it, right? Like the less I value it, the less I am wanting to get like more and more and more of it. It just, once I take care of my needs, it's like not as motivating. So you still can, but just the dollar amounts are going up. I'm not certain about. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess some people use the prop bet as an excuse to motivate themselves to do a thing as well.
True.
So, like, say I wanted to dunk or whatever, you know, there could be a prop bet there that I might try and generate. But yeah, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea. I guess I started thinking reasons like that, if you really want to do something, tying it into a prop bet isn't really helping you with your goal at all.
Yeah, I think
that's
like
what I end up thinking.
It'll get you there. It'll get you there if you care about the money at all. If you don't, it won't. But it's yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it's that underlying thing, which is like, I mean, this helps, but like, why, figure out the motivation in the first place, without needing the crutch of like adding some extra on top, I think is interesting.
So, flash back for a minute, bro. You started out at poker. Were you winning straight away? Like, and you're playing tourneys, cash, like when it was online, that is. And if it was the tourneys, like, did you ever come like real close to something early on and just like be sad that all your hopes and dreams were on that one tourney, or were you more of like you hit it, hit the ground running pretty fast and had some good scores?
So I was 18. It was 2009, and no, I didn't have any idea what I was just watching like Full Tilt Poker Academy videos.
Nice. Chris Ferguson, baby.
To Full Tilt and Stars at the time, and yeah, so I was kind of just like playing, and I was just a cocky 18-year-old, and I was like, oh, people are playing, like I can beat them, Lucky enough, I kind of was winning a little bit at the beginning. I made 3 deposits. My third one kind of stuck. So I was kind of just winning by watching these little videos and playing, practicing. And then I got 5th place in the 3 rebuy on Stars. Back in the day, it used to be huge.
It was a big tourney, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 20K for first usually. So that was hype. That was more money than I'd ever had. And then I just quit my job. I was like, okay, this is what I do now. Told all my friends, trying to be cool. Told my family. And then I was down to like $15 about 3 months later.
Oh, dude.
But didn't get a job. I signed up to a training site on my credit card and watched training videos like 2-3 hours a day and built it up from that $15 to where I am now. Literally, like just 20, I think it was 20 cent, 40 cent 8 game until I got to like 100, and then I started mixing in sit and goes and then tournaments. And then, yeah, for about 5 years, my role hung out between 5K and like 25K, never above. I was living at home, just kind of like sliding through life, play live poker some. And then streaming started. Played a lot more, made a lot of money through streaming, started playing more and more high stakes, had some success. And now I'm in like a spot where I shot take a lot of tournaments I'm not winning in, but because they're fun to stream and like people enjoy watching them. But I feel confident that I'm winning in like 320s and under fairly consistently.
Wait, so you would say that you're not winning in like $1,000 buy-in tourney, even though the rate's like 5%, not 10?
Don't think so. No. I mean, there's obviously all these incentives that make it profitable for me. But like just purely on my poker skill in the 1Ks, do I think I'm winning? Probably not. Unless
So
it's a really
the regs
good
are sick or not enough fish? What's your general take on why that might be?
Yeah, both. I mean, both.
Sick.
There's so many good tournaments to play for fish. You know, like they can just hop in the 320 Gladiator. You know, they can hop in the 500 Bounty. So it just depends which tournament, really. It is like some of them I think I'm winning in, and then some I think I'm, you know, losing like 7%. But then you get the viewership from the stream. You know, you have incentives from Party Poker being signed with them, and it just becomes a profitable endeavor. You know?
When you started out, like on Twitch, who was the poker guy, or was there actually no one?
Jason Somerville started about 3 weeks before me, I think.
So it was like what, Twitch just came out, or there was just no poker
Twitch
at that
poker
time?
kind of just started, yeah.
Okay.
Just started like 2 months earlier or
Sick.
so.
Well played, yeah. Very good.
It's good timing for sure. Yeah.
Well, how many people were watching like the top stream, whether that was yours or Jason's? Like, what kind of viewership was there at that point?
Well, Twitch was promoting poker a lot. So, like when Jason would get front page, he would get like in the very beginning, he got like 1,000 viewers and then 2,000 viewers, and that was like, whoa,
It was pretty sick.
Is wild, right? But then he quickly climbed to where he was getting between 4,000 and 9,500 consistently on his stream, like every day. And then I would get anywhere from like 700 to 2,000, depending on how well I was doing in the tournaments. And he did it like 90 days in a row or something. Like he streamed every day, didn't take a day off, same time every day.
What a bastard.
Yeah. And I was 6 days a week, but I would just stream on top of him. Like I was just number 2 every time. He was number 1 every time. And that's just how it went, man. Like it's just for months. I did 6 days a week, so I actually took a day off, but he didn't.
He didn't want you to sneak on in on that day off, man.
He was smart.
He respected you, smart. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, at the beginning, he never acknowledged 0 times. He made no mentions of having seen my stream or any other stream in the listing. He was his own island, and I mean that's pretty harsh, and that's not how Twitch has turned out. But he understood that like what this was going to become, how much money was at stake, and how he needed to dominate the listing to secure his spot. So he was just ruthless. Not from an audience perspective. They see him. I mean, he's Jake Harvey. He's great. He's streaming. But from a business perspective, like he wanted to smash everyone and never acknowledged me for the first 6 months or so until we were both signed by Stars, and then he acknowledged that I existed, basically.
Were you in his chat like, hey man, how's it going? Like giving him like $5 and shit, or no?
I didn't drop the donos, but I did pop in the chat and say like, hey, I love what you're doing, like that sort of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I remember I fucking hosted Lex once for like 100 viewers or some shit, and I donated him 369 like bits. I said 369, damn you fine, because it's like from a rap song. I thought he'd like it. It doesn't even fucking notice. I'm like, oh, fuck. It just kind of cracked me up. I was like, you know, it's kind of dirty what I'm doing anyway. Like, wanting a raid from this dude at some point, it's kind of obvious that that's like, you see a lot of people like even smaller streams than mine. Mine's not particularly big. I guess if I'm playing on Stars, I probably average like 250 viewers. If I stream at like the time that is best for me or whatever. But people with less viewers will come into me, and you can sort of tell that that's what they want. And like, I'll host anyone or raid anyone or whatever. But if they've said to me, hey man, can you fucking do this? I'm kind of like never hosting him ever. You know, that's sort of my rule. If you ask, it's a nah. If you don't say shit and like you're being kind of nice and maybe it's a little bit obvious that that's what you want, I'll probably still pay you off. Like I'm not gonna not pay you off, but if you ask, I can't do it. I don't like being told what to do, you know?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, especially with teams too, like when you're on a team, you want to prioritize your team first always. So like, you know, the Stars guys always rate the Stars guys first. Our Party Poker team online, we're always just like, yeah, support each other, we're a team. You know, some of us are bigger channels, some are smaller. So like a raid from me makes a big difference for like.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right?
They'd be absolutely cheering.
And then after that, there's the politics of like, who's playing on which site, you know? Like, I'm not gonna rate a guy streaming stars. It's just not gonna happen. Like, I'm team party.
What if
I wanna
he's
go
got like a
party.
moustache and he's fucking destroying people, like shoving 5x pot in the river?
It's just not gonna happen, man. Come play on party, and you might catch that raid. It's a part of playing on party. That's the thing, man.
Yeah,
You know?
just playing. But I I would have liked to play on party. Like I was talking to you before, it just kind of didn't work out, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might end up moving country anyway, though. Like I don't know if I'll be able to extend my visa. I currently live in the Philippines, so that would put me back in Auckland, New Zealand, with my man Pav.
Right, that's true. That'd be good. How are things in? Where are you again?
They're fine.
Philippines?
It's a city called Davao in the South Island. It's not really a touristy spot. Things are cool. There's just a chance that they won't extend visas. It doesn't really make sense because it's mainly like you don't want people coming in and getting a visa. But if they're already here, it doesn't fucking matter. So, but they might just have like some donk law where they're like no more visas, and it's like no visa, go, kind of thing.
Right.
It wouldn't like devastate me that terribly, but it would be a bit inconvenient.
I'm on a visa here in Scotland.
You're in Scotland?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good spot.
I'm half Scottish.
You're half Scottish, are you? Have you been to Scotland?
Yeah, a few times. Grandparents from Elgin, which is north of Aberdeen. It's just like a tiny town.
Wow,
yeah,
that is
Glasgow, got some family there. Glasgow, I guess. Edinburgh, there's a couple people there. Glasgow is pretty fun, man. It's kind of like a rough place, though, like depending where you go out. Like there was a lot of fights when I went out, man. Yeah. It's like, oh, jeez, fuck. They're always nice to foreigners, I found. Like they like that you're from like Australia. They're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that place, kind of thing. Yeah. They call McDonald's McD's. I always thought that was funny because we call them Maccas. Anyway.
Yeah. I love Glasgow. I think it's got when a city has like a pulse, it's got action, it's got movements, it's got things going on. I don't like cities that don't have that because they're too boring for me. They're too slow. Edinburgh is like very nice and posh and pretty and clean, and all the universities and the nature. And Glasgow is like that rough, dirty, I'm in action, I'm doing things, I'm busy. And I love that. I really like the Glasgow way of life.
Is that where you're at then?
No, I'm in Edinburgh. I'm in Edinburgh. Locked down, dude. Not moving.
Yeah. It's bad over there, right? My fucking grand's in London. She's probably freaking.
Yeah, we're in lockdown at the moment. We had 1,500 new cases yesterday, so I think we're gonna kind of enter.
That's a lot.
Spanish sort of routine here for the next couple weeks. So,
how do you get groceries? Is there a delivery service?
There is delivery, yeah. And you can go to the store to get groceries once a day. I mean, so we're planning to do a once a week kind of shop when we need. So
it's fucking so stupid, this whole thing, really. I mean, there's nothing we can do, I guess. We just got to like sit there and follow the law. You don't want to freak people out. But like for anyone who owns a small business, fuck. I feel pretty bad for them. Anyone paycheck to paycheck, fuck. The thing is, they're not really going to end up being the ones who pay for it unless they get debt themselves. But if the government just like hands people cash, the people who pay for it are the people who have savings. They're paying inflation.
Yeah.
Taxpayers.
Paying inflation.
Yeah, so I think
it is unprecedented, though, man. This is insane. Like it's just so crazy that we're living through this. That I'm not really worried about my personal liberty or about economics. I'm just like, I can't believe that I'm alive and this is happening. That's where my head's at.
I'm a conspiracy theory man. I think there's some bankers in the background fucking loving this shit, and I'm just on tilt. I'm like, these fucking guys, man, I can't even go do this, I can't do that. These fucking bank guys get to inflate the shit out of currencies. Everyone's going to be in debt. They're going to blame this fucking virus for like the next 20 years. Like, oh, the virus, that's why this happened. It's like, fuck you, man. You probably put the virus on people. That's my sort of state of mind. But I hope in the meantime, everybody with money, buy fucking Bitcoin, long the shit out of it. Because this could be a spot where it's like 1 year later, 50k Bitcoin. Like, easy. Yeah. If people that have money realize, oh, fuck, all of our savings are going to be worth half as much in like 5 years. How do we avoid this? Should we buy gold? No. Bitcoin is better. Boom.
Yeah.
World changes just like that. It could be. We'll see. But I'm tempted to put a long on. I'm not much of a gambling man these days, but I don't know if you know much about Bitcoin or anything like that, but you probably do.
I have some coins, yeah. I would take the moderate approach, which I think probably a bit more exposure to crypto makes sense. But I also think a bit of gold within the existing institution also makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it happens. I don't think it's going to change overnight. I think it's a slow burn where we see things like shift, and who knows what will happen. I don't know, man. It's
It
crazy.
just sucks that we're never really going to know like what this whole thing was. But the negative effects are going to like destroy people's lives, families, everything. You know, like any small business owner, fucked. You know?
The UK is paying 80% of people's wages, which I think will do a lot. Like the message from the UK government was two businesses said, you know, you back your employees and we're going to back you. Like we're going to pay them and to keep you running. But who knows sort of what that means. I don't know.
In this video...
Sorry.
Don't know. No, it's all right.
So what else we got? You got a question for me out of interest? Do you know anything about me? I'm just like some random dude, basically.
I checked out your stream a few times. I was like, this
yeah.
is sweet. Playing cash games. You know, there's not very many cash game streamers. So how did you find yourself where you are now in the world compared to where you grew up? Like, how did you maneuver your way there?
Basically just did whatever I wanted all the time. And, yeah, it was stupid, bro. It was fucking absolutely stupid. I guess I cared a lot about chicks when I was a kid, so that was sort of my driving passion. Just like banging chicks or being in love or whatever it was that I thought at the time. And then I got a bit over that. Like I never cared about the money, so I thought I was cooler than money, basically. So I made a shitload of money in 2010, Supernova Elite, made like 200 something K at the table with my mate. I had half of him in a tournament. That was like another 100K USD. And then I was like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of poker. You know, don't play poker, basically. Just spent my role on like rent and food, chasing chicks around the world and doing stuff like that.
Right.
And then I was like, you know what? That was pretty fucking stupid. I should have bought a house. Because I realized like after I had a lot of experience with chicks and eventually I stopped falling in love. Long story short, it was a bad play to have that feeling and to be so swayed by my own emotion. And it was hindering my success in relationships, like being somewhat obsessed like with the person, like idolizing them, whatever you want to call it, where you're really, really fucking into someone. It doesn't help you get what you want, in my experience. And something clicked with me. I don't know exactly how it happened. It wasn't overnight, but over some amount of time, I just stopped being that way. And I noticed I always had the power in relationships. I could tell when a chick wanted something and that kind of thing. Maybe I would play more games with them to keep them like kind of entertained. Not in a bad way, but basically I got the power, which I'd always kind of coveted. And I used it pretty wisely to like make the relationship good for both parties. And I felt like I learned a lot about like how that kind of thing works. So that's kind of what I did with my life is I learned about that shit. I did a lot of like, I smoked too much weed, drunk way too many beers. I was a degenerate, like chasing momentary happiness with drugs, basically. And then eventually I quit all that stuff and decided I wanted to just try and make money and buy a house and get a dog. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Why the transition from like, you know, a self-described degenerate lifestyle to one where you're trying to shred all your vices and like be hyper vigilant on productivity? Like, what led? Like, was it an instant kind of?
No, I've just always been disappointed with myself. I've underachieved for a huge portion of my life. I view people as like you're basically two people. You're your subconscious and your conscious. And my subconscious always hated my consciousness. And I would think about this a lot while I was stoned or doing drugs. Like the two sides of myself, or whatever you want to call it. The subconscious, which has like access to like everything in your brain. Like if you you know how they have the autistic people that could like do any kind of crazy math in their head instantly? Like we all sort of have that ability within us. We just can't really like access it readily. That's how I view the subconscious. Like it's the super smart version of yourself that like kind of it's still weak because it's like tied to your ego, but it's very, very good at knowing and doing things. And like anytime you have an instinct, it's based on like quite deep thought from that. That's the way that I view it. Anyway, that guy, very disappointed in me for a lot of my poor decision making, very weak decision making. So I would have dreams where I like confront myself about this quite often, and you know, or I would like, torture myself in my own dreams somewhat, like have terrible fucking dreams where I'm like experiencing pain and stuff like that regularly. And I realized it was just because I was disappointed in myself. And so I tried to sort of get on the same page as what I felt like my subconscious wanted. And I noticed that I felt a lot better about what I was doing and stuff like that. And I would still have my vices, but if I overdid them, I would find myself in that kind of same spot again, like sleeping quite badly. Not like insomnia, but it was hard for me to go to bed. And my dreams were always quite like full-on brutal, kind of like nightmare-y kind of dreams. Not always, but you know, I'd have them frequently enough that it was a problem. Yeah, so don't know. Something along those lines is how I ended up changing my mind. But I also had like quite an intelligent friend to like back and forth this shit with. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Just enough excuses for me. Like I know what I'm supposed to fucking do anyway. I'm just sitting there wasting my life.
It's good you found the shift though. It seems like things go well. That's exciting.
It's alright. I'm on a downswing, man. You know, I'm not losing. I'm not winning pots. That's what I meant to say. Not winning pots at the moment.
Do you put a lot of like? Does it bother you when you're in downswings? Like, does it bother how you feel about yourself and stuff?
Nah, but it's more like I got bad habits. So like, if you used to be at reg and you used to winning, like back in the day, I was younger when I was like a winning reg too. I don't know how old was I? So 11 years ago. So I was like early 20s, whatever. You know, I thought I was the shit. I thought I was like a top 5 player in the world, you know, just complete delusions. But like, you know, that's just the way that I saw it. Like Doe would do something, I was like, I fucking know what he's doing, you know, like I thought I was the nuts. And so when I would win, it just felt completely standard. When I would lose, it was like, there's no justice in this game. Got sick of it eventually. But unfortunately, on returning to poker, I still kind of have these bad habits within me where like, if I'm having a shitty session, I kind of just like, fuck this fucking guy, like shitty reg, fucking clueless.
Yeah.
You know, I've got this like negativity that's kind of inbuilt in me, and I wish I didn't have it. But at the same time, like I don't think it's an enormous issue for me. I don't think it's great that I use it as a vent. I'm not believing that there's productivity in me venting about these things. But I accept it, and I don't really care enough to change it. For now, I'm kind of just like, look, it's not good. Maybe I'll try and tone it down a bit for the stream if I can. But it's probably going to come out of me if I'm like in a bad mood. And it's not the end of the world. So that's something I'd like to change, but it's not high on the priority list, really, compared to the other things, which are just sticking to not quitting drinking. Because I'm definitely an alcoholic. Like, I would drink an average of like 10 beers a day, I'd say. Maybe at least 5 days a week. Like, I'd wake up and just whatever was in the fridge, I'd just start drinking it. You know?
Shit, man.
No, but like, everyone's like that to a degree. There's so many people like that. Like, any kid in their 20s, that's just normal. But then you're 30 and you're still doing it, you're probably an alkie.
Yeah.
But no,
I was always in such a bubble that I wasn't surrounded by that. Like, I did go to college for a second, and you know, college was like that, I guess. But I don't know. I was always in a bubble where it was just like my own world, dude. I didn't know what was going on. What normal people were doing my age. Are you completely off now, or are you like transitioning off? Or?
No, I haven't drunk. It's not that long though. Like I've talked to some other people that have quit like drugs and alcohol for like years and years. You know, I'm not really in their club. I think it was the start of December I stopped drinking, so almost 4 months.
That's
but
awesome.
I mean, I've told myself I would quit drinking like 100+ times, like without exaggeration, in my life, and like backtracked and failed. And anytime you've like set a goal for yourself, like the next day I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this lifestyle change. If you set a goal like that, fail that goal, you don't trust your fucking self. Why would you? Nobody else trusts you. That you say to your mate, you're like, oh, I'm going to fucking quit this shit tomorrow. And they just like have a laugh. It's like, yeah, sure, bro. You know? So doing that enough times, it's quite brutal. Like just for... You can't trust yourself. Like even if you convince yourself that you're going to do this, you've convinced yourself of that so many times. How do you actually fucking change yourself? You know, that was something I struggled with. And for me, it was more just like, do I really want to do something? Because the answer was no, you know? So I had to work on making that answer yes. And for me, that just took some convincing. It took some like, not meditation, but that probably would work for people. But it was more just, why the fuck am I still doing this? Do I actually want to do this? And then I just focused on the things that made sense to me, which is that it's fucking weak. Like, the only reason I'm doing it is because I'm a weak piece of shit. Do you want to be a weak piece of shit? Is that who you are? No, don't fucking be that way.
Right.
It's just that kind of logic is enough for me to get by. And now that I've like proven to myself that I can actually, do some shit that I think's productive, now I'm in an okay spot. Now I could like trust myself if I want to do something else, then I can probably achieve that. But like, yeah, it's just like the mind is a very complicated thing, and everybody's slightly different. And we're all trying to help each other, at least as guys. Like, I feel like I'm on the team of guys. I'm not against chicks, but I'm on, like, if I see a dude, I'm like, oh, bro, I want to, like, help this dude, especially if it's a younger guy, like, say, in his early 20s or whatever, in some kind of spot. Like, I just want to be in there, want to be his boy, like, give him some tips, help him out. I don't know exactly why that is, but I find myself in that situation pretty often. I feel like, I don't know, bros before hoes somewhat. Maybe that's what it came from. Yeah, just on the path, crazy. It sounds like you've had quite a fucking journey yourself.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's...
So what's the next stage, though, bro, for you? In
the short term, it's very clear, which is, well, on a personal front, it's like continuing to just try and be mentally and physically healthy and just like make progress towards, being in good shape and being mentally really strong and healthy. And then on a professional front, it's very clear, like Party Poker Team Online and Party Poker is my sort of project for the next several years, for another 2.5 years at least. So just dedicating all of my time to basically Twitch, and then growing our Twitch team's numbers, and hoping I can be successful to like allow that site to grow. So professionally, that's my ambitions. And then after that, we'll see. I mean, who knows? I think I'll probably stream for another around 4.5 years from here, I'd say. That would have been 10 years on Twitch.
Strong.
And then see how I feel at that point.
No shout out to the wife in those list of priorities there?
Oh, of course. Rebecca's always a part of the life. 100%.
I'm just getting you in trouble, man.
Yeah, she is always she's always a part of it, so it kind of goes without saying in my mind. But yeah, no, for sure.
I was just having a joke with you, man. I wasn't being serious.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're very good with your chick and all that. I don't know. I don't even know why I said that. It was just dumb.
It's all good. It's all good.
But I'm dead serious, by the way, about my tournament idea. I know that whichever site adopts this is why I've never really told anyone, because I'm just so fucking confident that they will just sap traffic from like every other site, and it gets the natural free advertisement of people wanting to do it on Twitch. Like, people guaranteed will just want to play this. It's good for Twitch. Like, it's quite nice to have as a Twitch streamer. Yeah. Right. It's just such a fucking good idea. Like, if Party takes this, they will move up in the ranks. Rob Young will be like getting up there with stars. He'll be fucking cheering. I just need to get him in a room, or I could tell you about it. Like, whatever. Anyway, I'm just so sure it's a good idea that yeah.
I'm excited to hear about it. It's cool.
But I like your gas tournament idea. I just fear that like the complexity level is a little too much, like for one just to grasp, like and also because the fish will kind of get destroyed in the environment by the regs a little bit more. But in terms of me playing that sounds fun. Like, that sounds like a super fun tourney.
Yeah, it would have to be explained extremely clearly, and that's one of the hard parts. That there almost needs to be a tutorial for new players the first time they play it, so that they understand exactly.
Everybody gets a free buy-in,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that would be a nice promotion. That's true.
Out of interest, would you start any gas?
The gas would start at like maybe 20% of starting stack.
Okay.
So like it wouldn't be relevant for the first like 6 or 7 levels, but then it would be like, okay, now it's 5,000 above starting stack, and it doesn't mean you're dead, right? It takes 25% of your stack, so it's not like you're out. But you're just like, okay, well, I'm going to be withered down to nothing here if I don't start shoving, like, now.
And so there'd be some epic highlights of, like, a dude losing. He doesn't even get dealt cards because he's, like, got so few chips that they get sapped by, like, the storm.
Yeah.
Or would it always be percentage so it could never stack you? I think you got to get stacked by the storm is fucking hilarious.
I think it should be percentage. I thought about a format where you just died, like it was 100%, like if you're in the gas, you're out, 0%. But I think percentage is a little bit less extreme for complete noobs.
Yeah,
Where
true.
basically they can see like, oh, I lost a quarter, like I need to get out of this right now.
It's just so funny if a dude's like, he has to be all in because the gas is going to fuck him. And then he gets it all in with somebody and they chop the pot, but because he chopped, he still fucking dies because he's still in the storm. You know, like he couldn't afford to chop.
Yeah.
He had top set, but the board was a straight.
There'd be all sorts of weird math in terms of like, let's say the gas is at 50K, some guy's at 25K, and it's going up. The gas is going to go up next hand. And he needs a double up, and then someone's at like 70,000, right? So if they call the all in and lose, they're in the gas, and they're going to lose 25K. Yeah. So there's like an implied loss of more than the 25,000 actually.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose, 25% of your stack the next hand. So it's more like you're risking 35,000 to win 50,000. But then you also know this guy's range is like literally 100%. So it's just like, it's so difficult to figure out what the right thing is to do there in a tournament context. It would be so fun.
Yeah.
Like the decisions would be painstaking and so complex. It would just be such a fun format. But
hey man, I mean, you're the guy, right? Like you could push it a bit, or have you already tried with this one and they were kind of like,
I've pushed to a few people, but it's, like it's hard with companies because there's so much going on. Like there's just always, it's busy. There's so many things happening. So like you just try and present it and hopefully some people like it and moves forward. And if not, then not. So yeah.
Sorry, someone said rip, so I was guessing that my stream like fucked out or something. I've been dropping like a lot of frames, so I don't know why that is. Really weird. I like on your stream, by the way, I noticed that you have like whole cards for each table. So I'm assuming you did that with display capture, but it's very clever. Like I don't think I don't think people would have thought of doing that. But then I realized like, oh fuck, you have to write the name of the tourney over each one. That's got to be annoying as fuck. Is that how it works, or do you have like a good system?
No, I had to build it with OBS. But the name of the tournament displays on my table with party caption.
Oh, so you're taking it from that, you don't have to manually...
No. So I have table snapping and lobby snapping software. And then, 8max and 6max, the cards and the stacks are in different positions. So for 9 tables, it's 45 monitor captures, cropped. And then for the lobby information, it's similar, basically. So it's like, it's a really...
But you made that yourself, did you?
Yeah. I didn't do the graphics of like the overlay, but, the concept and put it together.
Cool. It's a good idea.
There's so much we could do to make poker more interesting on Twitch that I think, you just need people to develop it. One of the ideas I have for tournaments is, and I want to develop, is live equity. So one of the problems with tournaments for brand new players is they don't understand what we're playing for. Like they understand a cash game of like money going up and down, but a tournament, like, okay, you doubled up, but like, what's the buy-in for this? Like, what does that mean? Like, what do you get paid? How does this work? So my idea is converting a tournament stack to like an estimation of equity. Because it'd be really cool if you were playing nine tournament tables and you could see when you win a C-bet, sort of what that represents-ish in dollars to you. And that would be really cool for people to be able to watch the stream and see like, oh wow, he just doubled up on that table. That's like 200 in equity. Like he's up 600 in equity right now. And sweat how that changes throughout the day, just like cash games. So
I would love to know that just personally anyway, because the one thing I think interesting about tourneys is like you basically put all these random fish into a complicated cash game at some point. That's like what a tournament is. But people don't really know what stakes they're playing for. So it's like, you could be playing like 5100, like 5-handed with a bunch of fish, and like you don't really know that that's what's happening. It's kind of crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, it forces you into high stakes situations, but from a good bankroll situation.
Yeah.
Like it enforces you to degen because you have to. It's the rules. So yeah, if you could convert that to dollars, it'd be interesting sweat for newer players. If you could like see the graph of your equity.
Yeah, I thought initially that you meant like they could like donate a certain amount of bits, and that like buys them a piece of you now, or something weird like that. Like, you know, they put 1,000 bits on you to do this much or better, and then if they win, they get like a bunch of bits back. They could like invent some sort of bits gambling thing, but then that might become like, you know, sort of illegal depending on what the laws are. I don't really get it.
Definitely illegal. Definitely illegal on that. I have another idea though of like people getting a percentage of your tournament, which is not possible to do. But if you could like link your Party Poker account to your Twitch account, right? And if someone is watching a stream and I win, let's say I give away like 10% of my profit in tournaments a day or something. If it could be automatically sent out to people based on how much time they were watching my stream on a day. So like, let's say I won like 5,000 in a tournament. I give away $500, and like this guy's been there all day and he gets like $1 or something into his Party Poker account. Like that would be such a fun sweat for people because they're actually making money by watching your stream. Like they have an interest.
And then different actions could give different values. So say watch time was like X points per hour. Yeah. Maybe commenting and like certain emotes or things like that could be worth points. I mean, you don't want emotes maybe because the whole chat would just be fucking flooded with like whatever was worth a bunch of points, but something along those lines could be good, yeah, for sure. Like some combo.
It's got to be automated though. That's the hard part. It's like it has to be.
And it's not like this is going to print money, this idea, and it's a lot of fucking work for the coders. So
it would print money for streamers, I think. You know,
it would be great, like in terms of viewership and stuff like that. Yeah. But then, what are you going to code it? It's like sounds fucking complicated, and there's a lot of integration required as well. But definitely a cool idea.
I mean, it would activate a lot of small stakes poker players, right? If they could know that, oh, I watched the stream and now I have $1 and I can play some 20-cent tournaments on Party Poker tonight for literally watching a Party Poker stream. Yeah. Like, it would get thousands of small stakes players to play because they'd have free money from your streamers. You know, like that's pretty legit. If you can just build the infrastructure, it's like a pretty good deal.
And like tweeting about it, for example, could be worth, you know, some amount of equity for them in the stream or something. You know, any kind of tied in promotion would, you know, make an incentive for Party Poker to be on board too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good ideas like that for sure that aren't being implemented right now.
It's just, you just need a few people to believe in it, basically. You just need money from a company to back it. And then you just got to build it. But, you know, like Stars doesn't seem to be investing as much at this point into poker and poker innovation stuff. So, yeah, it comes down to like Party and a lot of the other sites that are sort of rivaling and trying to take Stars' position to do those things, to make them happen, to push us forward.
Well, Rob must love being in that spot. I know that he wants to beat Stars. That's like his goal, really. To take Stars down. Not in like an evil way, but just like, you know, to be number one.
I think he wants to be number one, yeah. Like, I've talked to him about that, and he said, you know, like, I don't really care what Stars is doing, what he said. He just wants to do the right things by players and get their loyalty, right? And I think that's true of Party. Like, of course, you see what's happening in the industry, but I think he in Party Poker, by extension, just believes in poker. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, we're investing in poker, whereas other sites are investing in other verticals to ensure that their business is well diversified and they can continue to make money in different, market cycles. It's like Party Poker saying, hey, we believe in poker. Let's grow poker. Let's do the right thing for players, and it should come good. And so that's a lot of fun to work for.
What do you think, out of interest, about... I mean, maybe it's kind of a bad question because, you know, it's a Party Poker thing. Like, maybe you can't really say anything negative about it, but it wouldn't really necessarily be that way. But the cash game leaderboards. So, like, just for example, one thing that they don't really do is give fish any benefit whatsoever. Like, a fish is never cashed in a cash game leaderboard in his life, you know?
Yeah.
Is that fine, though? Like, I don't know.
So, I think it probably serves its purpose, you know? Like, I'm not the head of marketing, so I don't that I need to, like, determine whether it's a good thing or not. But I think for the smaller sites, even getting some of the volume that isn't, like, the best volume, like the non-fish, is still important because you need liquidity. You need games to run to to like make money. So, but you're right. You know, the leaderboards only incentivize grinders. They only incentivize regular poker players to come over and play. So I don't think it's great, but it probably serves its purpose, right? There's a reason they're doing it. It probably increases the bottom line. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
and
you'd imagine.
But it's not a great promotion in that it's like it's not changing the behavior of the people that you really need to incentivize to want to play, which is, you know, the fish, right? Like, yeah. So I don't know. That's sort of where I stand on it.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. I mean, like, they have to compete with other sites that are offering it too. If you didn't have something like better, then, you know, you have to at least be offering the same thing. Otherwise, people are just going to not play on your side. They're going to go play on that other side that's going to give them a better benefit. I don't know why people play on Stars. Like, I fucking play on Stars. For me, I'm just lazy. Like, I have money on there. I like the software, but there's no fucking rakeback. You know, it's kind of ridiculous to play on Stars.
Well, that's kind of the problem. Is like there is a level of customers aren't very reactive in poker. It seems like to me, where, you know, it's hard to get someone to change a site, even if it's better on this other site. They won't. You know, there's a lot of people just like you just play on Stars because they're used to Stars. They have money on Stars. Never played any other sites. They're making money, and that's fine, right? So it's like a very uphill battle for a site like Party Poker to convince them to come over and play, and like try out their software and compete in their leaderboards. And yeah, and it's kind of why Stars can get away with what they get away with, because even when they continue to raise the rake or they continue to do things that affect professional poker players' bottom line, they just stay. They don't change their behavior.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Supernova Elite players just quit. And most people I came up with, they just don't play. They just have like a job, or, you know, they probably bought a house and then they just don't really care after that, which is fair.
Yeah.
Some of them moved to Party though, I'm pretty sure. Like, Party is like, I think they're the toughest games according to everybody. I haven't really played much on Party though. They reckon they're the toughest games, like, just because the leaderboard makes it that way. You know, maybe there's a fish in the pool, maybe there's not, but nobody cares because they're like trying to grind the leaderboard. So in terms of like being like an okay reg, it doesn't seem that good. Like, you're kind of just getting hurt, so it's hard for those guys. They're better off just come over to Stars where at least there's more fish. Try and get on a wait list, play a regular table with a fish, like guaranteed, like that you could have a chance to make some money. That's why I think it's kind of going this way. So the leaderboard system might be like kind of the root of the problem, but at the end of the day, if you're not marketing to fish and getting them onto your site, you're always going to struggle, like, compared to a site that just has like most of the fish. Everybody's going to go to where most of the fish are, so hard to avoid that.
But at some level, like, you know, there's like basically no games, you know, like 6 months ago. Like, there's just no volume. People weren't playing cash games, even at high stakes. So it was just like, you know, having games that are running so that fish have an opportunity to actually play does seem to be the right decision. Even if the games are full of people hunting that leaderboard, it's a step forward to hopefully then make them softer in the long run. So I get that perspective, but
for sure, you're right. Definitely a good step.
Yeah.
The one other thing that's a bit brutal is, like, people probably going to multi-account. It's kind of hard to know. Like, they can just be living in the same house, like, whatever it is. And if one dude's multi-accounting, it's pretty brutal for the other guys trying to grind that leaderboard. This dude can basically play double because he's two fucking people. And, like, I'm not saying for sure that's happening. It's just really hard to stop. Like, how could you stop that? Two dudes just live in the same house. Like, what do you do?
There's some security stuff you can do around that. Like, again, you leave a digital footprint of who you are as a poker player. And there's like some pretty advanced tech behind being able to recognize patterns in how you play, right? So like, if people are not varying their play enough, it just wouldn't be possible, because it would raise flags, you know, like computer would be like, this is suspicious, and they would know what to look into.
Yeah, I feel
so,
you.
I mean,
but
yeah,
like,
it's super easy to see bots do it, of course, right? Like, because they are running fairly static statistics that are all like very similar. You know, it's just like, oh, okay, well, here, you know, you can just get there with like Hold'em Manager for bots and find them. Like, it's not complicated. But to do more complicated things of like the same human playing on two different accounts. You need more sophisticated tech, I think. But
yeah, because a lot of it would be like post-flop frequencies, not pre-flop. Like pre-flop, it's pretty easy for two people to play the same range.
Yeah.
In a lot of spots.
Yeah. I'm sure there's like mouse movements, timing, like that sort of stuff as well.
Okay. Well, I didn't. Are you sure though? Because like keylogging is highly illegal. You know.
I don't know. No, I don't. Okay. I don't know exactly what like that. I was just
Because if you can tell what buttons people are pressing, then you can know what all their passwords are. That's why it's illegal, as far as I know. Anyway.
Right. I'm sure it's probably not keylogging, but I assume they can measure the mouse movements. Probably. I would guess they could do that.
I feel like it might be, but maybe not. Yeah. Don't know, man. It's complicated stuff. I think, like, I like Party as a site, though. I definitely want to see them succeed. Obviously, Run It Once is another site that I feel pretty similarly about, like, trying to do the right thing. You know, it's good.
Me too, man. I root for them, sort of silently on the side because I love Phil Galfond. I love, what he stands for. So I wish we could be all on the same team because I just like what he's doing.
Well, that's one thing I respect about Rob Young is, like, he gets asked about other sites. He's like, oh, yeah, they're doing a good job with this. They really, like... He was talking about ACR, like a lot of people rag on ACR. And he was like, oh, I respect it. They're really going for it. They're called America's Card Room. They take American customers. He has good things to say if you ask him about a rival. He's not like, oh, we're better at this. I feel like he's good for the whole community. That's why I respect Rob. He's not, like, worried about, giving a compliment to a rival. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Mouse movement tracking has been around for many years on Stars, as far as I know, says a dude in the chat. So there you go. That would definitely be a thing, because people have their habits. Like, I love to hover over fold when I'm, like, calling, apparently. When I watch myself, like, making a highlight video, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing, like, hovering over fold here? Got, like, the nuts. It looks dangerous, I'm like, don't click that.
Yeah. I'm sure there's, like, a lot of things that, of course, are all able to get around. But it's just like, you do leave a footprint of who you are, I think. So, don't know.
Anything else you want to get into, man? I don't really have much of an idea of what I was going to ask you about. I wanted to ask you about some of the bet stuff in the history. I feel like we've been there. Anything that you'd like to talk about? Yeah, no,
I think we covered most of what my life has been about, to be honest.
Nice.
I don't know. I guess I'm just looking at the future, man. So, no, it's been good to talk to you and, like, get to pick your brain for a while and have this conversation. It seems like you're doing really great things on your stream as well. So excited to see
shit talking
grow. And, yeah, and for me, like, I don't know, if check out my stuff, you can just come by my Twitch channel, Poker Staples. I do a lot on YouTube as well, so
I'll try and at you and see if you notice me, like, in the sea of emotes.
My chat is quiet, dude. My chat is one of the quietest chats on Twitch Poker.
You get like 5K viewers and shit, right?
No, I'd say my average viewership is like 1,000 or so.
Okay, that's pretty good though.
But sometimes I can get...
I've seen you with a lot of viewers. Maybe that was like a deep run though.
Yeah, it depends. But no, yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's been good.
Thank you very much. How about one last quick random question before you head off?
I'm ready.
I'm playing a fucking knockout tournament, right? This is what I went through the other day. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Ace-8 suited under the gun. My bounties are worth a decent amount. I think I have 3 buy-ins in bounties.
Okay.
I open. I have 19 or 20 BB. Let's call it 19 and a half under the gun. We're 9-handed. A dude two to my left who has 7 BB shoves pre. So I think I opened to 2.3. Dude shoves for like 7 BB. He's got 4 buy-ins of bounties. Folds around to the big blind who covers both. He puts it in.
You're all in. You're all in.
Is this a snap off with ace-8 suited?
Yeah, because I think the big blind recognizes he's risking 20 to win 7 bounties. Basically, he's risking 20 blinds. So like he can just get it in there with probably like 9-10 suited. But this is the question in bounties, which is like, is the big blind adjusting or not? Because if he's not adjusting, then you're folding because your hand is probably not good enough against his get-in range. But if he's like conscious of it being a bounty, then you got to gamble. Like 4 bounties is just too much, I think, to fold. So I'm in. I'm in there.
I fold like a bitch, and he has king 7 offsuit in the big blind. Yeah. I was like, fuck, man. I guess I thought about it briefly. I was like, whatever, I'll fold. I'm just too much of a nit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's some 6 spots, like, with 20 blinds where you should be, like, raise calling ace-8 suited against a reshove.
Yeah.
Because, like, people should be adjusted, but they're not, you know? So it's...
You call, they just have ace-king, you're like, why I do this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Giving them 5 buy-ins and bounties, like, rewarding them for their nitty-ass shove.
Yeah.
PKO whale, yeah, that's what I am. By the way, my man Dr. Upswing in chat won the big Sunday Million like 5 years ago or something.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, what a luck box.
That's legit. That would be nice.
He min cashed with me in this one the other day. Oh, do you not even play that because you're like Mr. Party now? You can't be seen on stars.
I'm allowed to play, other sites and stream other sites. We have a team rule where, like, the peak 12 hours of the day, we don't stream other sites just because we don't need to. There's not volume on Party, and, like, we should do right by Party. But, like, the Million was an exception. Like, the team could stream that from the beginning this week. I didn't, though, because, I don't know. It's just, like, I feel like I've built a big enough channel. Man. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not even doing right by Party. I think they'd be fine. I think they expect all of their pros to play it, and probably every employee at Party was playing it too, I'm assuming. But for me, I'm just like, my stream is valuable. Like, I've built this over 6 years. So if I'm going to represent a tournament, I'm not going to just give you 1,200 viewers and an endorsement for free. I've done too much to where that doesn't make sense. So I would have played it if I wasn't streaming. But, like, to me, especially with how things with Stars ended up, it was like, I'm not going to give you guys free promotion of your events. Like, you need to support me if you're going to want to do that. And that's very much like Jason Somerville's approach too, which is like, hey guys, you have a show with 1,000 viewers. Like, every time you're playing on another site, you're giving them promotion for free. You know what I mean? So, like, figure out how to not do that. Take the logos off the table, right? Like, don't promote these sites for free. They have money. You're doing them a favor. Figure out how to get compensated for what you're doing. And that's how I felt about the Million. It's like, I'm not going to hype up this event. It's just not what I'm going to do.
You might have won it, though, bro. 1.5 million. You really going to throw that money in the bin?
I think about it as
equity. A lot of
money,
man.
I think about it as equity. It's $200 in equity I passed up. It's like, big deal.
Yeah, nah, just playing, man. It's a brutal tournament. You got to wake up at 1 a.m. 3 days in a row, if you're me. Why even play it?
Yeah, it's tough for you. Pretty tough for you, for sure.
But no, man, thanks a lot for coming on. Sorry about some of the going into the details of those stories, reliving that shit. You probably told people that story like a lot of times already, so must be.
No, it's all good, man. It was a good conversation. I enjoyed it. And, we'll follow up again in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd like to tell you that idea at some point. So let me know if you have some free time, and I'll hit you up with that if you're interested.
Yes, I'd love to hear it off the side. That'd be great.
Yeah, and if you got any shout outs, feel free to go ahead, man, and we can wrap things up.
I think that's it. Just my Twitch channel and YouTube, Poker Staples, streaming. Lots of videos on YouTube, 6 videos a week of random things. So check that out if you're interested. And if not, that's cool. Just hang out in Kakatee's channel.
Yep, you heard the
stacking,
man. Go follow him.
Stacking the views. That's it. There it is.
All right, man. We'll have a good one. I'll hit you up another time. Thanks for coming on and shit. That was cool.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Right.
Catch you later, man.
Peace, bro. Alright, lads, I've got to tell you, I've been needing to take a piss for a very long time. It's at that point where if you move, it hurts, so I best be off too. But yeah, that was fun, man. That was cool. What a story, eh? Like, that weight loss prop bet. Like, that's such a long journey, such a huge accomplishment. Really crazy. 500 Zoom again, or unsub. Bruh, you're not even sub. Get the fuck out of here. Alright? Also, I lost. Dr. Upswing, I played 500 Zoom and I lost. I'll show you guys one hand, alright, before I take a piss. I can't believe I'm even going to do this. I need a piss so bad. The bottle strategy is old school, right? I don't use the bottle. What am I doing? Poker fucking tracker. Watch me play this pot. Alright? This pot is, we're not going to win it. Alright? Spoiler. We do not win. What do? I play a pot. I lose the pot. It's not this pot. Probably this pot. Wait, hold on. Replay hand. Alright, here we are. Oh, Alright, can you guys see this? Let's have a look. No. How about now? Yes. Alright guys, look, we got a hand. It's a good hand. This guy limps. Alright. Oh, you are subbed. Sorry, man. For some reason, it didn't appear on the thing. Look, if you look at my screen, Tom, go up. It says Tom, 500 zoom again, around sub, no sub, and now you got a sub. By the way, thank you for the raid, Supex and Dr. Upswing. Thank you for the sub. Where's your song? Yeah, sorry. The notification thing's off for the, Oh, you just subbed then. Okay. Anyway, check out this fucking hand. It's hilarious. So this dude limps blind v blind. I raise him, and he hits me with the limp raise. He's kind of tighter. I was like, I guess this is a standard 4-bet. Oh, you can't see my cards anymore? What the fuck? Anyway. No sub music rigged. They might have sub music on now that I changed the scene. But anyway, just forgive and forget for a second, boys. We got a big decision here. Superpex? Oh, Yectus was raiding. Yectus was raiding. But Superpex raids me all the time, so I just assumed it was him. Thank you anyway. Yeah, so I was gonna 4-ball this noob. Hold on. Alright, I'll sort you out. We'll listen to some music while... Dude, I need to take a piss, guys. Fuck. Be kind. Alright, here we go. Alright. So we don't 4-bet this fucker. We call him. Alright? Top fucking pair, pretty good. Bang. What do you reckon? Call him? A lot of annoying turns. Fuck him. Raise. Boom. Re-raise. Boom. Alright, mate. I call. Check. Check. Like a boss. All in. Call. We lose, but what does he have? What does he have? That's the real question. We lose the pot. But to what? What would we lose the pot to? He min 3-bet us on the flop. 9-2 off. Nope, that doesn't win. Jack 5, that certainly would beat us. Jizzes, Jack 9. Oh, that would be a bad beat. Man 8 club 9 reckons he's got a 2 and a 4, and you know what? He does. He limp raises us with the old duck 4. Profit. That's how you play poker, boys.